Have you ever pondered the depths of forgiveness and the expansiveness of unconditional love? Imagine a love that transcends all boundaries, a forgiveness that envelops even the gravest of mistakes. This isn't just a lofty ideal, it's a reality that's beautifully encapsulated in a timeless tale. Today we're going to explore these powerful themes through the lens of a parable that has resonated across centuries. So, are you ready to unravel its wisdom? Let's dive into a story that perfectly illustrates these profound concepts. Imagine a father with two sons, the younger of whom decides to take his inheritance early and leave home. This is not a decision made lightly nor impulsively. It's a choice born out of a restless heart, yearning for something more, something beyond the familiar contours of home. The father, despite his deep love for his son, understands this restless spirit. He doesn't protest, nor does he try to hold his son back. Instead, he accepts his son's decision with a heavy heart, dividing his property between his two sons. The younger son, now with his share of the inheritance, feels a sense of liberation. His heart is filled with dreams of adventure and independence. He packs his belongings, bids his father and brother goodbye, and sets off. He ventures into the unknown, his heart full of hope, eyes gleaming with anticipation. Off the young man went, into a distant country where he squandered his fortune in wild living. Fast forward to a time when the younger son finds himself penniless, hungry, and desperate. His pockets are as empty as his stomach. The life he once dreamt of, filled with unending joy and boundless freedom, has turned into a nightmare of isolation and destitution. The glittering allure of reckless living has lost its shine, leaving behind only the harsh reality of consequence. In his solitude, he is confronted by the stark contrast of his current predicament and the warmth of his father's house. He recalls the abundance he took for granted, the servants in his father's home living better lives than he now does. His pride, once as tall as a tower, crumbles into the dust of remorse and regret. In this moment of despair, a spark of realization kindles within him. The gravity of his mistakes weighs heavily on his heart, yet it also illuminates a path to redemption. He acknowledges his folly, the squandering of his inheritance, the disrespect to his father, and the disregard for the values he was raised with. With this newfound wisdom, he resolves to swallow his pride and embark on the journey back home. He is prepared to face the music, to admit his wrongdoings, and to plead for his father's forgiveness. He doesn't expect to be welcomed back as a son, but just hopes to be accepted as a lowly servant. With a heavy heart and a humble spirit, he decides to return home, prepared to beg his father to take him back as a servant. Let's focus on the love of the father, who has been waiting for his son's return. Picture a man standing at the edge of his property day after day, his eyes scanning the horizon for a glimpse of his lost child. Imagine the surge of joy that floods his heart when he finally spots a familiar figure in the distance. Without a moment's hesitation, he rushes to his son, embracing him in a tight hug, tears of happiness streaming down his face. It doesn't matter that his son left him, squandered his inheritance, and returned only when he had nowhere else to go. The father's love is not conditional, his forgiveness is immediate, his joy boundless. Instead of reprimanding the son for his mistakes, he decides to celebrate. He orders his servants to prepare a feast, to rejoice for his son's return. In his father's eyes, the son was lost and is now found, he was dead and is now alive. What lessons can we draw from this timeless parable? The tale of the prodigal son unravels deep truths about human nature and divine love. It's a story that echoes the universal journey of erring, awakening, and returning. At its heart, it's about a son who strays, squanders his inheritance, and hits rock bottom. Yet, in his darkest hour, he remembers his father's love, a love that never wavered, even when he did. This is a powerful representation of forgiveness. It teaches us that no matter how far we stray, it's never too late to turn back and seek forgiveness. The father's response is equally profound, encapsulating the essence of unconditional love. He doesn't rebuke or punish, instead he welcomes his son with open arms. This mirrors the love of God that is patient, forgiving, and always ready to embrace us, regardless of our past mistakes. This parable reminds us of the boundless mercy that awaits those who acknowledge their wrongdoings and seek forgiveness. No mistake is too great to separate us from the love and forgiveness that awaits us because of Christ Jesus.